for taking the lead and crafting the various environments for this virtual event. A tremendous job. And yes, you may click on your clapping hands emoji in the reactions button at the bottom of your screen. So this session is being recorded just so that we can share our student, our professional, and our alumni successes through our college and departmental reach out efforts. Real quickly, we're going to have 3 sessions. We have the Alumni Awards presentations and remarks, which will come right after the dean speaks. We'll take a 5 to 10 minute break, and then we'll jump right into our professional panel Q&A session, and then break at the lunch hour, where we will release to students the Zoom contact information for employers. And then we'll jump into the afternoon at 1 with our afternoon employer engagement. Now, at any time during the event, if you have a logistical question about any of the sessions, getting in and out of sessions, whatever, please don't hesitate to contact Lindsay or myself via the Zoom chat feature at the bottom. Now, I would like to welcome and introduce the Dean of the College of Fine Arts, Dean James Frazier. James Frazier, that's the one. So.
Thank you, Professor Dawkins. Before I get started, I just want to remind everybody, if you are not speaking, if you would please mute your microphone, just because I know you want the recording to be as pristine as you can have it. As Dean of the College of Fine Arts, it is both my charge and my distinct pleasure to welcome you to this morning's career shaping event, which is co-hosted by the Department of Interior Architecture and Design and our partners in the FSU Career Center. Accredited by the Council for Interior Design Accreditation and the National Association of Schools of Art and Design, and consistently rated among the top 10 programs by Design Intelligence, the Department of Interior Architecture and Design is a source of great pride for the College of Fine Arts and a fantastic representation of Florida State University. I think I can safely say to this group that the department is one that I wish I could clone. We have a top-notch, caring faculty and staff, and truly exceptional students, and so many amazing alumni. Congratulations to the 3 alums being highlighted today. Tracy, Jean, and Sybil, you exemplify excellence and model success and service to the profession for our current students. And for that, I say thank you. On behalf of the college, we are pleased to call you our own, and we welcome you home. And this welcome I extend to all. As the saying goes, you could have been any number of places, but you chose to be here. Thank you for coming today, and enjoy. My best to you.
Thank you, Dean Frazier, and we deeply appreciate your support of our department and our students. My name is Jill Pobley, and I'm the chair of the Department of Interior Architecture and Design, and I just want to add my welcome to those of others to this event. This career shaping event is just taking off like crazy. We're so excited about that. And it's our annual gathering that also gives us a chance to celebrate the accomplishments of our alumni who have excelled in their careers and making a difference in the profession in our society. Each year, the Alumni Awards Selection Committee, made up of faculty and department advisory council members, solicits nominations for these awards, and then undertakes what is often a difficult process of reviewing and selecting the year's recipients. There are 3 categories for these awards, and we have a lovely representative for each of these this year. The Emerging Alumni Award recognizes the work of an alumni who has graduated less than 15 years ago and is developing a notable and successful career. The Distinguished Service Award recognizes the contributions of an alumni who has made especially wonderful contributions to the department, the profession, and/or humanity in general. And the Distinguished Alumni Award, recognizing the achievements of an alumni who graduated at least 15 years ago and has gathered a laudable record of achievements, service, and contribution to the advancement of the field or to humanity in general. I'd like to thank the selection committee for your work this year, which led us to celebrate these awardees. I also wish to thank the 3Form Company and Leslie Zytone Olson, who serves on our advisory council, who provided the beautiful physical awards that each recipient received. Each of our recipients will now offer some brief remarks, sharing their story and journey that I am sure will inspire us and provide some examples of glorious success. Our award winners will present on the practitioner panel later on after this session. So if you would, document and hold your questions until that time. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce our first awardee this year, Tracy Kelly. We start again with the Emergency Alumni Award, recognizing Tracy's work as an alumnus who has developed a notable and successful career, even young in her trajectory thus far. It's my particular thrill to introduce Tracy to you as well, because I served as Tracy's major professor for her MFA thesis those years ago. She graduated with her MFA in 2009. Tracy Kelly leads the Bay Area real estate portfolio within the workplace and real estate team at Uber, focusing on operations, facilities management, project management, and employee experience. Managing over 1 million square feet of property and projects, her role at Uber allows her to exercise her passion for providing healthy, sustainable, financially performing environments, which allow people to do their best work. Prior to this role, Tracy held the role of head of global workplace design at Uber and spent 8 years focusing on workplace, government, and hospitality interiors at Skidmore, Owings and Merrill and other design firms. Please join me in welcoming Tracy. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you so much for that lovely remark. I really appreciate that. And I'm so excited to talk to you guys today. And I'm so excited and honored to be awarded this. So thank you. I'm going to share my screen with you and take you on a little journey down this road. Let me get this presented here. All right. Everybody see okay?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay, so I began this journey right there at William Johnston, which you guys are all super familiar with. I am a Tallahassee native. I grew up in Tallahassee, and so FSU was not only my choice for education, but it's also my home. At that time, I began in fall 2006, and then I stayed for my MFA and graduated in 2009. There was a different set of chair and associate professors then, but I'm so excited and thrilled to be able to share this with Dr. Pable, who was such an inspiration and mentor to me while I was there at grad school. So as some of you guys are probably experiencing right now, this program is not for the faint of heart. The folks that you work with now become your peers and lifelong friends. I don't know if you notice down here in the corner there, you'll see Professor Sickler. We were basically attached at the hip in grad school. I think we would frantically switch off babysitting duties so she could teach sometimes and we could do school. So really the folks that you're in this program with now become your network. So, you know, really dig in there. All right, so I'm going to talk just a little bit about working for a large architecture firm. 2009, when I graduated with the MFA, was not an easy year. There was a really big recession going on. The design and build industry was really suffering. Jobs were sort of limited. And so, you know, it was a little disheartening sending resume after resume and having to maybe compromise on what that big first experience might be. So I decided to jump off a cliff and move myself out west where, you know, where a hope and a prayer was basically all I had. And it worked out. So through a friend and a peer, I got an interview at SOM in San Francisco and ended up there in what was literally design boot camp. I have never worked so hard in my life. I thought Studio 4 was going to kill me. That is nothing. That is nothing, but it was such a great, challenging experience. And I really learned so much. You know, when I graduated, I was sort of naive enough to think that I will just do hospitality and I'm going to love that. But truthfully, having the opportunity to work in many different markets spread across, you know, different regions is really where the learning takes place. And so, you know, just my 2 cents, learning definitely does not stop when you walk out of the door of FSU. It continues through all of these different experiences that you have. And while at SOM, I was lucky enough to work on projects ranging from civic and government, commercial, mixed use residential, and then a lot of workplace. And then, you know, at SOM is really focused on architecture. And then a lot of times, especially in the San Francisco office, we were in support of the architecture. So it was a ton of test fits, circulation studies, lots of programming studies, just to really understand who the user was and how best to, how best to solve their specific challenges and turn that into design, design solutions. So it was a really great experience. I spent 5 years, working on different projects, and it's funny because you spend, so much time working on them, and a lot of times you don't even get to see them built. But I got lucky and got to see several of them, so that was really great. And then at the end of 5 years, I was ready for a new challenge, and I saw a link for a job at Uber, and I was like, huh, that's interesting. Let's go check it out. And lo and behold, I got the job. Little did I know what that whirlwind was going to be like. The job at the time was design manager. And it's been a crazy roller coaster there. I know that you guys are probably all familiar with the company. So we're headquartered in San Francisco, though the reach is global. And so when I started, there was a major exponential growth happening at the time, and just building faster than they could keep up with people, space, offices, driver support centers. So the first task that I focused on was creating some kind of design standards, really understanding who the client was, who the external client was, who the internal client was, and then establishing those programming metrics that could be tested, that provided efficiency and experience, and then being able to have data and results that come back from those in a quantifiable way. So that was having the background in design really set me up for being on the client side, which was a completely different experience, which really rounds out your, the way that you approach your design thinking overall. So it was a crazy experience in the beginning. It took me all around the world to understand how to design for different cultures. Means you really need to go and experience them and see what their personal bubble space is like, how people queue in different areas is a lot of times we put a Western sort of perspective on that, which, you really want to be sensitive to when you're doing a standardized approach. So we spent a lot of time in other countries, which was truly amazing, and an experience that, I got to see like the Taj Mahal and the pyramids, and it was really exciting. So then I moved into a role of completing a five-year ongoing project for a new HQ in San Francisco. The project started, so what you're seeing here is the site plan. There's 4 buildings. There's 2 that Uber owns, they're ground up construction, and 2 that were part of the Warriors complex. So this is the new Warrior Stadium. So these 4 become our new home. And so working with lots of talented architects and being the client myself was a new experience, right? So I was having to deliver space that was going to be useful to our internal clients, our employees. It really, the focus became on the overall experience then, how they are going to move through the space, use the space, eat in the space. In the Bay Area, there's a ton of tech firms, and they all have different perks that attract talent. So, we really don't compete for product, we compete for talent. And so it's like one-upping the Joneses there. Like, they have a slide, they have a ball pit, or whatever the thing is, right? I mean, I could tell you some of the crazy stories that I've been asked to build in these spaces, but maybe save that for another day. But truthfully, it's really about productivity, at the end of the day, and user ease. And I personally don't think ping pong tables and beer taps do that. I think it's community engagement and culture that shape the way that you're at your best and you're working at your best. And so really that's what we focused on. So I'm going to just take a couple minutes, because I know we're all designers and we like to see pretty pictures of projects, and give you a sneak peek of this campus. These are unpublished photos. Some of them are off my camera, so excuse me if they're a little rough, but I thought it would be fun just to take you through this project really, really quickly. So, you're looking at one building's lobby and an atrium connecting stairs with artwork. We commissioned local artists and 10 pieces to be featured in these buildings, which was a really fun exercise to be able to participate in. Yes, we have fun amenities. So the bleachers, which is like, you know, the tech standard bleachers, and a very big wellness suite, which this is the hanging pod room for meditation, which is my personal favorite. Then we have 3 outdoor terraces that are private that overlook the San Francisco skyline. I mentioned this earlier, but it's 1 million square feet in San Francisco proper, which is kind of unheard of. So we'll be the largest company with that much square feet in actual San Francisco. One day we'll get to use it. So in 2 of the buildings, the feature is a contiguous atrium, 11 stories with communicating stairs. And it gives a lot of different social spaces. So this is non-occupiable space outside of the workspace. This is clearly just social space, gathering space, additional work points. They're beautiful buildings designed by shop architects out of New York. And then we had the tenant improvement work, the TI work done by a local architecture firm who focused on the interiors. You know, it was about 1 million decisions that come onto your table. And as a designer, it's so hard not to get into the nitty gritty of like, oh, I don't like that wallpaper. Or, you know, how is this going to actually function? But you really need to let go and tell them what your ultimate goal is and let them do their magic. So it's been really fun. And then, you know, COVID has had a big impact on the workplace. And this is where we are right now with the project. It's completing, you know, any day now. Basically, it's done. We had 3 glorious days in November where we were allowed to open one of the buildings, where we were shut down after that for the cases rising. But it was great to sort of test out all of the new features, all of the digital wayfinding, all the environmental graphics. We have an app that lets you book space. It lets you book conference room from your phone and do your health screening. And so really the focus now is going to be, you know, what does the future of workplace look like? I think you guys are in a really challenging but exciting time to be entering the design world, in that globally, we've all been forced into this, you know, experiment together of work from home. And that's really going to impact the way that people use space. And I think it's such an exciting time to be able to be involved in that and think through that. And we're doing the same, you know, for Uber specifically in the Bay Area, but then, you know, all of our peers are in the same boat. So it's been a really great time, I think, to sort of think forward. So in a nutshell, here's some tidbits from an alumni who's not that far away from where you are. You know, say yes, have a positive attitude and amazing work ethic. It really goes so much farther than technical skill. You can learn any software program, but being able to show up and say yes at 6 a.m. and still have a smile on your face at 11 p.m., that's what really, you know, that's what really helped me a lot. Challenge yourself, say yes to opportunities that you think are like, maybe that's not the exact right path, because you never know where that's going to lead you. Be open to all those possibilities, get good at as much as you can, and definitely be your own cheerleader. No one's going to support you as much as you are. So that's like super important there. And so with that, I just want to say thank you so much for this recognition. It's been a true honor and letting me share a little bit of my story. So thank you all very much, and I'm happy to answer any questions at the panel.
Thank you, Tracy. What an inspiring journey you have had. Incredibly notable, the projects that you are working on, and I'm sure the work experiences that you're shaping. That's terrific. We will move on next to our Distinguished Service Award recipient, honoring an individual who has provided notable contributions to the department, the profession, and/or humanity in general. If you're just joining us, thank you for your patience. We've had a couple of snafus this morning with our entry. If everybody could silence their audio, I think we're getting some feedback, which is not helpful. Thanks. It's exciting for me to introduce Jean Freeman to you. She was a wonderful early influence on my career and engagement, especially with the Interior Design Educators Council. Jean's outgoing personality made me really, really feel quite at home. So thank you for that, Jean. Jean achieved a Bachelor of Science degree at FSU in 1972 and a Master of Science degree in 1974. She is Professor Emerita at Marymount University in their Interior Design Department. Jean has been practicing professionally interior design and an educator for more than 20 years. During that time, she served on the Interior Design Educator Council Board of Directors, including as a term as president, and was named a fellow of IDEC. She has served on the team of visitors for CETA, which is the Council for Interior Design Accreditation, for 6 years, and was also a chair of several teams. While on the board of directors for NCIDQ, this woman gets around, she served as secretary and wrote their code of ethics. She is a member of the American Society of Interior Designers and was on the task force that wrote the first residential contracts to be used by membership. She served on the licensing board of directors for interior designers in Washington, D.C., and was the liaison to the National Legislative Coalition for Interior Designers. Welcome, Jean. We're so thrilled to have you with us today and thrilled that you called FSU home. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Oops, thank you very much. And I wanted to do some screen sharing, and it seems to be disabled. Share the screen. And I want to, here it is. Screen share. Excuse me. About 5 minutes ago, this is so wonderful. Thank you, and I'm so glad to be here, and I'm thrilled to see how wonderfully Florida State is doing, and I think that your students are so lucky to be in that program with such I would say, the #1 program in the U.S. Not, in the humble first two. So welcome to my humble abode. I'm showing you pictures of it. And, when we think about interior design, it's grown such as a profession from first this humble, beginnings with Elsie to Wolf. And then, as Philippe Stark said, I like to open the doors of the human brain. And I also, want to say that the best laid plans of mice and men often go away, leaving us nothing but pain and grief. And, so that's kind of been what we're going through in this past year. But it's an opportunity, I think, to really use your skills, your methodologies, your research that you're doing, and develop new ways of creating spaces for people at a very difficult time. So it's made changes in our, it made changes for us in our working from home more. I'm showing you what is my sustainable design home that I just moved into a couple months ago, up in the mountains of Colorado. Changes that I made after I retired was moving from Washington, D.C. to Colorado. And it's been a wonderful, fantastic sort of adventure. And so I want you all to take risks, to grab life, and to, see what the next chapter is going to be. You're in a wonderful chapter now of being a student, and all of us on this panel saying we'd love to go back to school. I'd like to take some more furniture design. that cabinet that you see next to the flamingo is one that I designed as a jewelry cabinet. But I was designing it for somebody who was 5'8", because I can't open the top door to see my jewelry. But I worked with skill and proportion to get that particular thing going. So I want to talk about two things today, and challenges. And oops, there are two things today. And one of my challenges is, what do I do being retired while trying to build a house and in this academic? And one of the things that I volunteered to do was to make these masks for children for a Cleveland hospital for children. And then I made some for the adults also. And so, it's just volunteerism I was trying to do and keep it going in my life. Also in the pandemic, I started making quilts, which was kind of, just had fabric, I'll do it, let's go. My first quilt, though, was out of silk, and people said, you don't make them out of silk. And I thought, well, I do, why not? So with more volunteerism, from Million Mom Marches to other more professional things, I've gotten my students involved, and this was a design house that we did. The top one is the basement, and the bottom is, or the middle one is our old studio classes. And I didn't want to use the same square tables that are always used. Why not use something with an odd shape? You can put a T, you can still use a T-square on it. Now we don't even use those. And then the bottom one is, here we are celebrating, we went out and played and did bowling. And so that basement that you saw is turned into this space. And that was what a former student's painting. I think it worked well. And for the furnishings, we just used IKEA, and then got paintings from students and others, and some faculty that we borrowed from. So I think it was a great sort of experience for the students. It was outside of the classroom. I asked for volunteers, and they really did volunteer. I worked with, brought students over to the DCBID, IA, and we were working with professionals, architects, landscape architects, contractors. We spent 2 days putting together their plans, and this was for a depressed area in Washington, D.C. that needed help with, outdoor plans. And, slaving away for 2 days. I brought my wheelbarrows and everything. And I think the students really, really enjoyed that and got to meet other designers. Another thing outside of the class, in sustainable design, I asked for volunteers, and the whole class did. And, we did a project, a sustainable project for Marymount University. One of my, challenge yourself is what I'm saying. One of my first volunteerisms was with a convention that was held at FSU, and I was its treasurer for that particular event. And, I went on to volunteer. See, this was me 4 years ago, an old lady doing ice climbing. Really? So, volunteering at an IAD meeting, and I got to meet Michael Graves. And another meeting, I got to meet Denise Scott Brown. I've had lunch with Robert Sumners, where I had volunteered, at a conference. And so, I want you to get out and see what can be done, what you can do. And so Jill mentioned, and there were some things I forgot I did, but, the FSU working as a treasurer, I was on the IDEC board for 7 years and made a fellow. I had a 6-year sentence there for CDAT. It's usually a 3 years that you serve in Washington, D.C., brought me into the NCIDQ board where I was their recording secretary. And then I was on the National Council for Interior Design Legislation, that board. And one of the members, you know, you volunteer for this and all of a sudden you realize you've got tickets for the opera. And the DCIBA and vets, we volunteered to decorate the exterior of veterans' houses for Christmas. So sustainability, it's something that's been part of my life. I taught it. My parents were somewhat embarrassing because they raised the toilets raised the tanks on our toilets so we would use less water. Always yelling, turn off the lights. But then as I got to be an adult, I realized how important it was to have this social conscious with what we're trying to do with the world. I camped a lot, and I beg you all to go camping, visit national parks. My daughter now is a social scientist at Yellowstone National Park. And so it gives you an idea of what we have to do as stewards of the earth. And then this was outside of my daughter's apartment when she first moved to Yellowstone, and that is a bison. Yes, it's a bison. But so we're protecting our world for our children's children's children and generations way beyond that. So I want you to keep that in mind. So one of the first things that I did, this is a home that I built and I sold in McLean, Virginia. And it was the first LEED certified home in Virginia, which I was very proud, you know, that I got that certification for. And here I am in my retirement home, building another house. I want you to ask your parents if they would do that in their later life. And I was using the LEED standards and also from the Rocky Mount Institute, their standards, which are slightly different. This is the front yard. I'm sitting on the deck. The site was, and I raised the living room so that it was on the second floor and the first floor being the site. So here was the site. The driveway was already existing and there was a 30 by 30 foot space that could be used for the house. And then the rest of the house on the left and in back is on columns, So, and it's yes, that's the Frank Lloyd Wright Cherokee Red, which I thought looked really good against the rocks and the gray. So the site I left undisturbed. I wanted to, keep it with nature. I thought it was very critical to do that. And there's also still a path that elk and even a bear visited the dumpster this past summer quite a bit. And I'm not going to show you that video, but that was quite interesting. Water efficiency was what I was trying to do. I have my own well. And so I'm, not dependent on anybody else's water. This is a master bath. And this is another bathroom, but really using low flush toilets, using low flow shower heads and faucets and fixtures helped in that particular area. I was also thinking about all of the energy and atmosphere. You'll have to start thinking, where are you going to put the mechanical closet? The walls are 2x6, not 2x4s. The insulation in the windows is quite high. We have blown in cellulosic insulation. The windows are highly insulated, and LED lights are used throughout. Even the deck, okay, is the roof for the bottom floor that sticks out. Energy Star was what I looked for as far as I was concerned with all of the appliances. Here's the kitchen and my daughter's dog who decided to pose. And it's all Energy Star. And I wanted to show you here that slabs of artificial or real stone only come in 12 feet. So I changed the color, you know, why not? I was also looking at the health and for HVOC, health for the low voltage VOCs, and having that as the sun is in my eye, and having that as, you know, one of the criteria that I was also using. I used cabinets. If they were manufactured cabinets, I used those that followed LEED standards, and ceramic tiles, which don't give off any VOCs. And so I was designing, you know, using Rocky Mountain Institute stabilities. I was designing it so it was going to be a comfortable home. The woods were from Florist Stewardship Council. The furniture is from LEED standards and Radiant Floor. I think I mentioned that before. Or I also have, I go to American Arts and Crafts shows and I meet craftspeople with whom I like to buy some of my furnishings. So I was looking at equity in design, proportion and scale, all of those things, putting that back into motion. I want you to volunteer, to think of your stewardship of this planet, and to really enjoy your wonderful, wonderful opportunity in this great field of design. Thank you.
Now you can hear me, sorry. Thank you, Jean. That was a really inspiring look at your home, especially, and fascinating that even now you are still the educator and using your ideas and your own choices as a way to show us a successful path. So wonderful to have you here. If you are just joining us, keep in mind that we will be recording these sessions for your later viewing if you so wish. We apologize if you had trouble getting in today. We will next celebrate the Distinguished Alumni Award recipient, recognizing the achievements of this person who has gathered a laudable record of achievements, service, and contribution to the advancements of the field or to humanity in general. I'm pleased to introduce Sybil Brito to you. Sybil achieved a Bachelor of Science degree from FSU in 1989. She is currently an Associate Chair in Interior Design at the Savannah School of Art and Design. She is also founder and principal designer at SJVD Design, specializing in hospitality, urban reuse, development, and commercial residential projects. She co-founded the Center for Interior Design Executive Resources, providing design research, design strategy, analysis, and consulting services. She holds professional membership in NEWH, professional membership in ASID as well. She also served as the president of the ASID Los Angeles chapter, chair of the CST representative to the ASID National Board, and as an at-large national board member. She has served as a qualified juror for NCADQ certification. And in July of 2017, she was inducted into the ASID College of Fellows and was appointed to serve as a CIDQ, Council for Interior Design Qualification, ambassador. She also serves as an accreditation site visitor for the Council for Interior Design Accreditation. So welcome, Sybil. We are so glad that you are here and that we could acknowledge and honor your achievements.
Let me just show you my award, and thank you all for getting this to me. I want to thank you for this recognition, recognizing Dean Fraser, Dr. Palkley, the Alumni Selection Committee, and for this tremendous privilege and honor to receive this Distinguished Alumni Award. I would not be here without those who guided, shaped, and influenced my post graduation journey. And I want to say a special thanks and recognize David Butler, Peter Mutton, Peter Koenig, Karen Meyer, Tak Ohasama, and Lisa Waxman. They were great supporters and were the thread of educational excellence in my life. I also want to thank my incredible parents who shepherded my dreams with unconditional support, and to my daughter, my brothers, my sisters, my nieces and nephews who have kept my world grounded and enriched every day. So part of all of you are enveloped in this beautiful award. When we start to think about, and I've been giving some thought to this, the message of the department and its mantra about shaping spaces and shaping lives, I want all of us, and as a reminder, to think about these things and how the world outside sees our role as interior designers in the profession, interior architects, interior designers, shape makers. Our professional society, as I've been involved with the American Society of Interior Designers, has its own mantra, which very directly says, design impacts lives. And finally, our professional accreditation body, the CEDA, the Council of Interior Designer Accreditation, boils it down even further, stating that neuroscience and the built world, cyber and physical security and human wellness are at the ground floor of what we do every day. And I take great satisfaction and great pride to be affiliated with such an important and relevant profession, which impacts all of us, from those with the very least to those with the very most. And so I'd like to just start this presentation kind of, oops, here we go. Talking about, and let me just go to full screen mode. Introducing myself again, Sybil Jane Burrito. I'm a fellow of the American Society of Interior Designers. I'm a certified interior designer in the state of California, Florida registered interior designer. I'm a member of IDEC and NCIDQ certified interior designer. When we think about, and I was thinking about this, our journey post-graduation, I started to connect the dots and think about the design process. And on the left, you can see kind of the squiggly line and the uncertainty and the patterns and the insights that we gather as we work with clients, as we are on our path to graduating and finding that next role in our lives. And it's not necessarily a straight path, is it? And what I found in the design process, as we're moving through all of those wonderful moments of influence, we finally get that moment, or that aha moment, where we get that concept developed and we get clarity and focus in the direction and where we're going. And I think today, for graduates graduating in 2021, especially in our profession, we have the responsibility, and also we have this incredible opportunity to help shape how people enter into enclosed environments post-COVID. So I wanted to kind of, whoops, here we go. I wanted to kind of show you, I graduated from Florida State University. In the center here is where I've been as an educator and a practitioner, starting working as a in-house space planner for a small architectural firm in Tampa, Florida, many years ago. Doing building and TI improvements. And one of the things I learned from that, because of our client profile, is that we had very high profile clients in secure areas of the building. And one of the things I learned about that is the importance of understanding user needs, but most importantly, understanding how security plays into the environment and the role in which we play in providing that security and privacy in their work environments. I moved out to California and worked with a firm that did master plan communities all over the world. This particular architect was part of the master planner for the city of Irvine, California. And it was a wonderful opportunity to work in the various departments, starting out in the design department all the way through construction documents, or in the computer area, at the time, doing all of the CAD drawings. I worked in hospitality, and one of the things I found, and I have been working in hospitality for many, many years, is the opportunity to really create spaces that impact lives, whether they're for rest, for opportunities for soul searching as we go look into wellness centers, or for opportunities to create senior living facilities that brings in and connects the ideas behind hospitality and celebrate the senior living environment. I'll show you a couple of pictures of those. I lost my father at this time and moved back to Florida and started working in healthcare. And worked in healthcare in Florida as well as in Los Angeles for Rothenberg and Balbona. And then one of the things I learned about healthcare is the importance of understanding our users, but most importantly, understanding the empathy needed to develop spaces that provided an enhanced healing environments, that provided an opportunity for our patients to experience and be empowered to be enriched and influenced by integrating and understanding, where they are today and where I need to be once I'm discharged. I come from a family of, my father was a physician, my mother a nurse. So my world was built around healthcare. So that seemed to be a natural place for me to fall. But one of the things, I was given that opportunity to work overseas, where I worked for a big development firm that did projects for the royal family in Brunei. And through my role there in project management, as well as leading teams from around the world in putting together projects for the Royal Air Terminal, many of the royal residences in Singapore, in Las Vegas, in LA, and in London, that we found that even though these may be very large scale projects, all of the specific requirements in making those projects come alive were the same, right? Going through the design process, understanding our users, and developing that concept and that focal point and clarity in solving those design challenges. I worked with partner in a design build firm where we design and built environments in Long Beach, California, primarily, where we did a lot of historic preservation work. And one of the things I found when I was going through this work, because it was very taxing, working on both sides of both the design and build environment, that I needed something to reignite my world. And I ended up going back to school and receiving a Master's of Arts in Design Management at Savannah College of Art and Design at SCAD. So let me just move through here. So I lead you to think about this. We look at our design concepts. This was a project in Newport Beach, California, overlooking the Back Bay in Newport. And one of the things we were asked to do was to kind of look at this center space. And in this center space courtyard, we were going to create 2-story volume, but in the ground, a space for entertaining, because they've got noise restrictions in this particular area. But we wanted to create this sort of catch-all, sort of outdoor-indoor conservatory. And in looking at this drawing, one of the things that was so important and is important as a part of what we do as communicators and curators of our own design intent is that we immediately try to engage our clients in understanding, here's the putting green. We have it sort of right off the entertainment area or the venue of this particular residence. We also have a grassy knoll so kids could play games outside, as well as these reflecting pools. It was all about drama as we were walking through and could see the Back Bay, this beautiful landscape of water and landforms. So articulating our design concepts and ideas involve doing things very quickly, rapid visualization, as I like to call it. So this particular document was something that was presented very quickly to get feedback, to get an understanding if we were headed in the right direction. It was a residential property over 25,000 square feet, 30,000 square feet. And we were looking to involve and incorporate a venue to entertain. They're big entertainers, big supporters of political campaigns. So this was to be their go-to place for Orange County. Wrong way. So I think it's important as those graduating and all of you that are in the program today, and I like to bring this up to students at SCAD, is it's important that you build your network now, that you look at the opportunities in being involved, as we've heard from Jean, being involved in the different opportunities, whether it's giving back and providing opportunities to connect on social projects, social good projects, or being involved in a professional association such as the American Society of Interior Designers, which is something that was kind of ingrained in me at Florida State University. This is a picture on the left-hand side of F. Schumacher and Company. And I was president at the time of the American Society of Interior Designers Los Angeles chapter, and was asked to participate in creating this window display during West Week, their celebration of all of the new and upcoming design insights for that particular year. And I believe without that sort of association, I would not have gotten that opportunity to work on this window display. So F. Schumacher provided all of the materials and provided us with the opportunity to reupholster, get as many fabrics or any of the items we needed to prepare a window that actually celebrated spring or lunar festival at the time. So I believe building your network as a student and continuing the framework to strategically get yourself involved is a key to that connectivity in your career in the future. These are a few of the projects that I've worked on. One of them is Michael's on Naples, which is located in Long Beach, California. One-story restaurant. We did the exterior, the interior. We actually, working with this particular client, was a former owner of a lighting company who sold it and decided when he was in his retirement to design and celebrate food. He was a big at-home chef. And so his big idea was to create and provide an environment where we can have intimate spaces where people can connect. The background would be very neutral. Some of the light selections were his. But the idea was that we would have opportunities for people to be the diners, to be the color and the excitement of the space. So it was all about user-focused dining experience where we have sort of a waiting bar as you walked in, a small little dining area, the chef's table here up on the upper right, and then upstairs was outdoor dining. This was just a very small little space, but with the ideas behind creating that idea of the sight line to the kitchen was an important part of our design challenge. Here we're looking at a couple of different images. On the top left, the Ebell Club in Long Beach, California, a women's club that housed their events and meetings. They were directly related to education, I believe, this women's club. And today it celebrates weddings and venues very much like the women of Ebell had started many, many years ago. We worked on the interior as well as the exterior of the renovation of this building. On the bottom left and on the right-hand side, we're looking at two interior lobby spaces designed for the Ayers Group located in Orange County, California. They own about 20, a family-owned business, as they like to say. But one of the unique elements to each of these projects is one of the family members would be the user or the person defining the design intent. So as we look at the larger picture on the right, one of the unique features about this project is that it's located close to, it's in Fountain Valley, California, close to a headquarters of a large, I believe it's Hyundai. So many of their corporate clients would be coming to this particular area to work at their location in the United States. And we designed this space so that we were very aware of who our users are. So some of the principles that were brought into the design of this space was feng shui. And we had a feng shui master that was involved in providing insights. And I'll just go over this really briefly, but across from where the fireplace is located is where you check in and where all the transactions to collect the money were located. So as soon as the planning of this space was reviewed by the feng shui master, they basically said, this isn't going to work because the fire will burn the money. So you need to put water in this corner, which will extinguish the fire that will burn the money so that we perpetuate continued profits for this project. So as you can see, we redesigned this space so that the fire located across from the check-in is extinguished by this water wall underneath, highlighted. Also on this back wall are custom designed tree of life images. So these are backlit, and that was a big part of the design of this space, was the idea of perpetuating wealth, perpetuating the idea of enrichment for those occupying this space. And at the time, this particular family had gone through a very traumatic period in their family life. So this tree of life represented moving forward and moving beyond what had been something that had shaped and influenced their world. So they hadn't been doing any renovation work or new construction in quite some time. To the left is a project that was guided by another family member, one of the board of directors, whose big influence was Bali, Indonesia. This project is located in Orange, California, and many of the pieces that were imported from Bali, Indonesia were actually a part of this design. So we see backlit carved panels. So they were individually designed. We designed them. We did large scale drawings for those. And then everything was shipped on container and brought to us. 2-story volume. One of the things that they were considering and they were exploring at the time as we were going through these changes and new construction projects was this 2-story volume space. You know, when we start to think about what did they give up to do this 2-story volume, they gave up rooms and revenue. So they needed to justify the fact that they would lose revenue for so many rooms above this lobby space. But one of the things they found is that these 2 particular properties are probably their most inventive spaces, but also the ones that bring in the most revenue and the ones that receive the most TripAdvisor kudos. So that's, you know, something that's, you know, you never think about, but it does impact those users who enter and rest in these spaces. I was the in-house interior designer for the Hotel Bel Air for over 10 years. I got a chance to work with celebrity clientele. I worked with the group that would showcase and provide us with insights into working with. We had a range of clients that would come every summer. And one of my roles was to work on designing spaces that would be adaptive to each of their unique needs for their summer, which would start from May all the way to September. Some of the events were political events that were showcased. This sort of pool area, we designed and imported furniture from Bali, Indonesia. One of the times I was working on one of the pool rooms back in the corner here, and I heard the voice of somebody and realized it was this very big celebrity who wanted to have some changes to the furniture. They wanted a green sofa rather than a blue sofa, you know. So even though you are a part of that environment and understanding the users and the needs, they may have big celebrity influence, but they are just another user who has specific emotional connectivity to the spaces that we designed. Oprah was a big favorite of this space here. This particular space was designed with her in mind. We have this space down below where we did a renovation of a large suite, but we turned it into small little event venue. So it had these beautiful sort of intimate spaces for those to, as we found, celebrate birthdays. And this space here, Oprah Winfrey would stay, as well as one of the things, and the reason why we redid this space was Michael Jackson was there at one time, and his children were there, and they had orange Gatorade, and they sprayed orange Gatorade all over the place. And when I walked into the space, had to walk through and realize that there was the story about the orange Gatorade and what had happened. But later in my role working with the royal family in Brunei, I got a chance to meet him in looking at one of the projects that we had done for the royal family in Las Vegas. And as I was preparing to meet with him, the security did the walk around, and they said, you know, get a drink in the refrigerator if you're thirsty. Mr. Jackson will be arriving in just a few minutes. So I open up the door in the refrigerator, and it's completely filled with orange Gatorade. And that connectivity took me back to the place, all the way back to working at the Hotel Bel Air. And it was an incredible experience. And again, at the time, right, this celebrity client who I had pictures on my wall and sang and danced to his music was really just another client who was really providing you the needs and emotional connectivity to the spaces that we were going to be designing. This is a senior living facility in Carlsbad, California. And I worked with a group of seniors that were a part of the architectural committee, and I needed to present to them at every stage. And one of the unique experience I had was at the very end, once they approved it, I needed to do this sort of simulcasted presentation to the entire campus. Things that were very important to them were mobility. So some of them were mobile. They can come in at 65 all the way to skilled nursing facilities. So it was a very active community. On the top left was an area where they wanted to have their own Starbucks, right? So they had, every Friday they'd have their happy hours. There were those who felt that they weren't going to go outside because of maybe the heat or the sun. So they wanted to make sure they had some sort of connectivity to the outdoors. So in all of these square panels above were images of the beach or trees or the sky. So this is kind of giving you some insight into that. They were involved in the color palette. They were involved in providing us with insights into what were the most important elements. And for them, it was not to feel old. It was for them to feel relevant and for them to live, right? So they had events every Friday, and it was a spirited group and learned a lot from that experience. I was brought in because I had healthcare experience, but most importantly, because I had experience in hospitality. This is a picture of, I'm gonna go back. This is a picture of the Ebell lofts. We designed 11 unique lofts, and part of this was really capturing the fabric of Long Beach. And we uniquely designed 11 lofts, keeping in mind all of the natural environment, authenticity of the space. This was a 1,200 seat auditorium that hadn't been used in 25, 30 years. And one of the things is a part of this renovation process was to find all of the wonderful treasures within it. And we found where the stage was. So we have some elements of the stage, iconography that's saved as a part of it. But it was important to expose the metal, the concrete, and the raw kind of materials that shape these lofts. So as I leave and provide you with this opportunity, thinking about, you know, what has shaped your role, who are you, right? And understanding your role in the future, what it is today, what it will be tomorrow. I think it's important for all of us to have an awareness of who we are. You know, what has shaped our world? You know, has it been travel? And were you one of those kids that got a chance? And I had a student once tell me, that was me. I was in that VW bug and I traveled up and down the coast in California to every beach every weekend to really experience that experience with my family. Or, are you one that has been shaped by travel and that you are a risk taker and you have been involved in traveling the world and seeing that as a part of the influences in your life? Or are you one that's been connected to nature, one that has been grounded by being outdoors, by trees, by the magnificence of like the Sequoia National Forest? And as Jean had mentioned, go out there and see our national forests. Or are you one that's been grounded by faith, and this is what has provided you with that stability in your life? I think when we start to look at this, we think about, do you have a soundtrack of your life, and has music shaped your world? Or have you, as today we're seeing with Instagram images, snappy chatty, as I like to call it, Snapchat images of where we are, where we've been. We've curated who we are in this virtual environment without ever really getting to know that person who has liked our images. But I think it's important for us to really understand, what are the things that drive us? What are the things that I'm most passionate about? What do you wish to achieve? Now that you're almost there, what do you want to do with your education? I think building upon this empathy really defines who we are so that we are better designers for it. We begin to have passion for our clients, our users, and really express that understanding. And it's all that connectivity really about what has shaped who we are today. So I think also as a part of this, it's important for us to realize we are content experts. We're designing health, safety, and providing the necessities for supporting human life. So it's important for us to understand who our building partners are and our role in working with them. So as this shows, doors, windows, computers, and all the integration of the building envelope is important. Understanding the thermal comfort. But I think most importantly today, as I've been reading, researching, attending webinars, indoor air quality is going to be a big push in the future, and our understanding of how we move through indoor spaces and integrate that outdoor space as a part of our living and our working environment. So it's important that we look at clean water, clean air, preparing food, washing, and being protected in our sheltered environments. I've worked around the world, so those are critical elements as a part of our survival. As interior designers, it's important that we visualize and communicate. We have to tell our story, the who, what, why, and where of the framework of how we solve challenges, design challenges. And it's the story behind it that really influences and shapes those who review our projects, those who influence and provide us with jobs. So as our buildings become more complex, as I just mentioned, we're seeing, and in California, one of the things that has been a big movement is how do we move people from remote working into the offices again? So we're looking at opportunities to integrate or change environments so that we can open windows, so that we can have exterior spaces integrated into our enclosed environments and provide safety and the assurance that we are all in a healthy and well-built environment. So I encourage all of you to, as content experts, be aware of LEED, of the WELL standard, and how important that enriches the work we do. So we are curators of our environment, so it's important for us to be well aware of the conditions that provide all of the sensory comforts. Today, everything is done by your apps, on your phone, by an iPad, or by a secret brain that's hidden somewhere. But we design by our five senses: sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. So build your brand today. Build your brand and know that you're designing for one unique user at a time. go back to this image of that where we started. And one of the things, of course, is that this project was designed and we had all these great renderings that were incredibly moving vehicles, flybys, you know, that we showcased the solution to this project. But one of the things I had the opportunity to do is be an ambassador representing North American interior designers to Italy. And one of the things I learned in going to Italy the 4 times that I've been able to every 2 years is that it's all about that one unique engagement at a time. When I was meeting with vendors in Italy, it was not about, you know, tell me about the work that you do. They brought you into their little area, they served you a little coffee, they gave you a little treat, and they wanted to know who you were, why you were there, and what has shaped the work that you do, and why you might have an interest in them. But it was really all about that unique one-on-one engagement at a time. So, you know, as I close here, I want to thank you for this opportunity to present kind of my story, and that success has many definitions and stakeholders. All of you here have been a part of it. And as we see the sensing and growing movement to understand collectively that our users have emotional and intellectual needs, but it's important for our role as interior designers to successfully implement these economic important elements as we increase efficiencies. And to me, design fits right into that theme. One of the great challenges of our time is bridging our evolutionary human needs with the benefits delivered by the information age as we bridge that gap. So thank you very much to all of you. I wish you much success in the road ahead, and know that you will all be contributors to the future of our profession in shaping the world ahead. Thank you.
Oh, all righty. Well, that's great. Thank you so much, Sybil and Tracy and Jean. Just obviously wonderful people on our alumni, more than anything, just wonderful humans at the same time. Jill, did you want to have a follow-up comment before I launch into our description of the next pieces?
Only that I just want to thank once again our 3 award recipients this year. You've given us a glimpse of a possible future. And students, if you're on the line, I'd like you to think about, you know, maybe you are in their position in the coming days, that you will come back and share your thoughts, memories, and journey with future students. So time moves on, and we move the dial a little bit more with each year as students pass into their career. So thank you all very much. It's been a pleasure today. Jim?
Thank you.
So students, I mean, what's the common theme here? They're your alumni. They were in your spot at one time, and look at where they are now. It didn't just happen. They went after it. They got on the right track, but they didn't just sit there. And it's clear that by your being here today, that you don't intend to sit either. So next, the professional panel, Q&A panel for our students, featuring our alumni awardees and professionals that you'll encounter this afternoon. Students, if you have additional questions that you would like to submit to the panel, now's a good time to send them to me via the chat feature. So we'll see everybody back. It's 10:46. I tell you what, let's see everybody back on the screen at 10:50 sharp. So that'll give us about 5 minutes to kind of move around and get the next cup of coffee or tea or water, whatever it is. But we will regroup at 10:50 and get our professional panel started. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jessica Comas, Director of Development for the College of Fine Arts, including the Department of Interior Architecture and Design. Through my job, it is my honor to meet so many successful alums from this program. Many of you live far from Tallahassee and ask, how can I help? So we wanted to take this moment to invite all of our alumni and industry partners to give back in one of these easy ways. Gifts to the College of Fine Arts and Department of Interior Architecture and Design are essential to advancing the program and supporting student success. Gifts from alumni and friends fuel scholarships that recognize excellence in individual studios and help them participate in out-of-town trips to visit firms, market days, and conferences. And since alumni giving is a factor in rankings, your gift of any size, and we really do mean that, of any size, plays a role in FSU's ability to stay among the top 20 universities nationwide. Of course, with your life experience, your time and talent means a great deal to FSU and our current students. We hope you'll consider mentoring a student through our professional program, sending us your internship opportunities, and giving us a shadowing opportunity for current students as well. Of course, keep in touch. If we don't know where you live, how can we invite you to in-person events or even virtual events like this one? We want to promote your achievements as well. When you shine, FSU Interior Design shines too. Now, we hope you'll stay tuned. Nominations for the 2022 Alumni Awards will open this summer. Stay safe and go Knowles.